Hey guys, so I briefly wanted to talk about the device I used on my face to reduce fat. Right now, there's still a pretty good chunk of fluid floating around in my face from, where actually that fat used to be. All these triglyceride components, most of them are cleared out. It's mostly just the fluid that came in to heal the process that's stuck right now. But you can tell it's fluid if it indents, and I'll give you a brief demonstration, right? Two, three, four, five. And yeah, you can pretty clearly see it indents there. Um, so that means it's fluid basically. There's other tests you can do. You can tilt your head, whatever. I've done that in the past, pretty much proven it's fluid. It does fluctuate, which is good. It's not, completely fibrosed or anything like that. But I wanted to talk about the risks of this process of the device itself briefly, right? Because I think, people see the videos, they see the machine, they're like, oh, I'll just buy the machine and I'll use it on my face. And then they don't realize that the next minute they're fucking blind because they got retinal detachment. So I wanted to kind of clear some things up on the risk profile. So yeah, first of all, yeah, you can go blind if you do it incorrectly, especially if you buy the wrong machine in the first place, which is a common error I've seen. So if you buy the wrong machine, you can go blind. If you fuck up the positioning of the probe, you can go blind. If you vibrate your skull too much, you can go blind. That's the main thing, is vibrating your skull too much, which I've figured out how to prevent actually in my process of actually using this device on my face. Because you guys, I'm like one of the only people in the entire world who's actually like done this on their face, uh, just in general. Not even without being completely fibrosed or going deaf or blind or whatever. Just like who's done this shit on their face in general, especially with such a powerful machine that I use. I actually used a couple machines, but I used a light machine just for subcutaneous fat, and then I used a secondary machine for deep fat pads. Um, and the deep fat pad one is the only one that's actually going to disrupt that fat that doesn't go away with weight loss. The subcutaneous one, it'll make you look better, 100%, but it's still not going to get rid of that underlying fatty puffiness that's making you look like a bloat cell, right? So yeah, that's a couple things I wanted to mention. So yeah, another risk, especially I'm talking about the risks of the high-powered device. By the way, the subcutaneous device doesn't have as many risks really. Um, Another risk is going deaf. So if your if your eardrum vibrates too much, you can actually, if you just hold the probe to your ear, you can hear it like vibrating your eardrum. So if you imagine this shit on your face, yeah, it can fuck with your ears really badly. It's I'd say it's almost equivalent to like shooting a fucking 7.6 rifle, right by your fucking ear, in terms of damage over time. So you can prevent that pretty easily by just making sure the waves don't reach that area, which I teach in my bio or whatever. Next thing I wanted to cover is the actual process after you melt the fat. This is very important. This is the stage I'm in currently, right, which is clearing the fluid, from the destroyed fat cells and from all the excess fluid that was drawn in to actually clear the triglyceride components, right? And this is extremely important. If you don't do this properly, you will get fibrosis, right? You're going to have all this tough tissue here, and it's just going to make you even fucking worse, and you won't be able to get rid of it without some serious surgical interventions. So you have to prevent fibrosis at all costs, right? And that's something people won't consider either. If you go in willy nilly, so there's enzymes you have to take for this shit. You need to take some pharmaceuticals if you wanted to speed it up. Pretty significantly. BPC 157 is a great option because it induces something called lymphangiogenesis, which is where the actual lymph vessels, right, the ones that actually collect the fluid in your face, will expand their route, expand, and you'll get more roots uh, of these lymphatic cells or lymphatic vessels to uptake more fluid. So actually, in the long run, if you successfully clear the fluid, you'll actually have much faster drainage, and you won't be as bloated in the long run just from fluid, which is a really cool benefit, if everything goes as planned, right? What else was I gonna say? So yeah, preventing fibrosis, preventing lymphatic overload. This is especially important. This is something that I fucked up in my later sessions by essentially compressing the time frame of what I did in these sessions in like 1 to 2 weeks, where I just blast my face with this device like hours at a time. and I didn't even like think about the repercussions, which would be longer bloating in the future. That's why I'm still bloated. I should be pretty much almost done with most of the lymphatic fluid if I did everything properly. If I spaced everything out properly, that is. Um, that's another thing you have to consider. And yeah, I teach all this stuff in my bio, whatever. I know it's kind of a fucking gatekeep if you want to put it that way, but I really am. I took some serious fucking risks to do this, you guys. My eardrum almost fucking popped, and my eyes actually hurt when I didn't like at the first time I started the shit. And I didn't know what the fuck was happening at the time, so I had to experiment and figure out what to do, right? So if you do, learn how to do this and apply this, with the bio shit, with my course or whatever, you won't have to go through all that. That's kind of what I'm selling you. But yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to say. It is risky, but it has serious benefits. It definitely benefited me. Like I said, I'm still going through the drainage process. But if you see like my older transformation pictures, so I did block sessions with the machine, right? So I do like I did a subcutaneous block. I did a secondary deep fat block, right? And then I did a tertiary deep fat block. The tertiary one was where I just went all fucking out, and I was just desperate to get rid of all the fat, and so it really fucked with the long term recovery period, right? But everything else went really smooth, just amazing results in a pretty short amount of time. So yeah, if you're interested, the link's in bio. Um, and yeah, let me know your thoughts. I just don't want anyone to do this and fuck themselves up really, and then just blame it on me in the future when I could give you what you actually need to do. So yeah, let me know.